Hola, me llamo Chicano. This is Rumpelstiltskin. Long ago, in a time of kings and castles, there lived a poor miller and his beautiful daughter. The miller was a foolish old man who could not stop himself from bragging. His friends told him that his talk would get him into trouble, and they were right. One day, the miller was lucky enough to meet the king. He bragged to the great man that his lovely daughter could spin straw into gold. The king, though rich, always wanted more gold, so he asked the miller's daughter to come to the castle that very day. When the miller's daughter arrived, the king led her to a little room filled with straw. He gave her a spinning wheel and told her that she could spin all the straw into gold by morning. He would make her his queen. But if she could not, her father must be killed for lying to the king. Then he left her all alone, locked in a little room filled with straw. As soon as the king left, the miller's daughter sat down and started to cry. She had no idea how to spin straw into gold. Suddenly, the door flew open and stood a funny little man.
"Good evening, pretty child," he said with a little bow. "What makes you so sad?"
She told him about her impossible task and the terrible fate that awaited her father if she could not spin the straw into gold.
"Well, I can spin straw into gold," said the little man,
as if it was the easiest thing in the world. "But what will you give me for my work?" "You may have my necklace," she said. So the little man started working at the spinning wheel. He spun, and soon the miller's daughter fell asleep. When she woke up, she was greeted by an amazing sight. During the night, the little man spun every bit of straw into gold. Ooh. Impressive. The king was amazed to see the spools of gold awaiting him the following morning. But he did not make the miller's daughter his queen. Instead, he took her to a much larger room, filled with straw, and ordered her to spin it to gold. If she could not, he warned her father must be killed. The poor miller's daughter was once again left alone, and she began to cry. She did not know how to spin gold from straw. Suddenly, the door opened, and there again stood the little man.
"More straw?" he asked. "What can you give me to spin it into gold?"
"The ring from my finger," she answered. So the little man worked the long night and spun every piece of straw into gold. The next day, the king could not believe his eyes. When he saw... Oh, sorry, guys. Here. Picture time. Boom. Beautiful. Okay. The next day, the king could not believe his eyes. When he saw the room full of gold, he led the miller's daughter into a third room, one of the largest in the castles, filled to the ceiling with straw. There he left her, and she waited for the little man to appear. The strange little man came soon enough, but this time she had nothing left to give him.
"Give me your first child when you become queen,"
said the little man. The miller's daughter agreed, because she did not believe she would ever marry the king. But the next morning, when the king saw the huge room filled with gold, he did not marry her. Oh, he did marry her, sorry. And she became the queen. It's like Princess Fiona and Lord Farquaad and Shrek. A year later, the king and queen had a beautiful baby. The queen had forgotten all about the promise she made to the little man. But the very first day she held her new baby, he appeared once more before her.
"I have come for the child,"
said the little man. The queen wept and begged and offered him all the riches of the kingdom if she could just keep her new baby. Feeling sorry for her, the little man told her that she could have 3 days and nights to guess his name. If she guessed right, she could keep her baby. Picture. Ooh. All that night, the queen sat up and made a list of every name she knew. Then she sent her servants out to discover the new names she had not heard before. The servants roamed the country, asking people their names and making lists for the queen. When the strange little man returned the next evening, the queen called out names one at a time. Are you Tom? Dick? Harry? The little man shook his head no. Are you Gaspar? Melchior? Balthasar? At each name, the little man just smiled and shook his head. Picture. It's a lot of names. On the second day, the servants came back with all the strangest names they could have heard in the kingdom. That day, when the little man appeared at night, the queen asked, Are you Crowribs? Spindleshanks? Lacelegs? But he only grinned and shook his head. The third day, one servant returned without a list of names, but he told the queen a strange story. He had seen an odd little man dancing around a campfire singing, Today I brew, and then I bake, and soon the queen's own child I'll take. For little knows my royal dame that Rumpelstiltskin is my name. That night, the little man came to the palace with a big smile on his face. He was quite certain that the queen could never guess his name. He asked gleefully if she had any guesses left unguessed. Are you Claus? She asked. No, was his impish reply. Could you be Heinz? No, giggled the little man. Perhaps you are Rumpelstiltskin? Asked the queen with a wide smile. Ooh. The little man could not believe his ears. How could the queen have guessed his name? He grew so angry that he stamped his feet until he stamped through the floor. That actually happened. And that was the last ever seen of Rumpelstiltskin. He stamped his way all the way to China. Goodbye.